Welcome into First Pitch for Tuesday, April 25th. I am Drew Martin, joined by Teddy Covers, Eric Pauley, and Adam Trigger of WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. We got a full slate for the Tuesday card, starting at 6 o'clock Eastern, going all the way through, about midnight. Shorter games now, about, 10 p.m. on the Pacific Coast. Somebody that knows a little bit about the Pacific Coast here, live from Las Vegas, guys. We're hitting big game breakdown. And we got You Ask, We Answer segment, and then we got best bets at the end. So come join us in the live chat. Teddy Covers, I'll throw it over to you here, man. Interesting handicap right off the top. Pittsburgh Pirates, LA Dodgers. Interested in your opinion here in one of the most beautiful ballparks out there, PNC Park. Near pick'em price, minus 115 we're seeing on the Dodgers. What are you liking in this one, Teddy?
Yeah, I remember, Brian Leonard's been around. Ralph Michaels has been around, doing going ballpark to ballpark, and both guys were like, you got to go to Pittsburgh. You got to go to Pittsburgh. PNC Park is the place to be. And certainly if you're a Pirates fan, PNC Park has been a great place to be so far this season. Pittsburgh, the single most profitable team in all of baseball to support so far this year. That being said, we have to put an asterisk by their start. And that's why this game's so fascinating. I want to ride Pittsburgh. All right. But when we look at their schedule so far, as long as the Dodgers are juggernauts, they're not. At least not in early season play. When we look at the Pirates' schedule, they have legitimately feasted on the week in every single game. They played one series all year against an opponent with a winning record. That winning record, the 12-11 Houston Astros, who played pretty lousy baseball so far this season. So they really haven't stepped up in class at all. The success that Pittsburgh has been having is coming against teams of their ilk. The Dodgers are not of their ilk. That said, they beat the Dodgers 5 times in 6 meetings last year when the Dodgers still weren't their ilk. And there was a pretty big clash between the two. Some of that was maybe LA not taking them seriously, which one wouldn't think would happen this time after they lost 5 out of 6 the Pirates last year. Some of that was Pittsburgh stepping up for the big games. Certainly we like Oviedo, and he's pitched nothing but gems so far. That being said, Syndergaard, Dodgers are 0-4 in his 4 starts, but he's pitched well in 3 of them. So it's not like he's been pitching poorly. Look, I don't know how to play this game. I would like to ride Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has been a major moneymaker, but we're also seeing the Dodgers showing signs. Just won 3 out of 4 in Chicago, and the bats got going. That's, in my mind, the biggest thing that's been lacking for LA. And maybe they get going again tonight. Fun game to consider, hard one for me to bet. And that's why it's here in Big Game Breakdown as opposed to Best Bet.
Gotcha, Teddy. Yeah, good start here, guys. At the top of the order here with the Pittsburgh Pirates winning 7 straight, tied with the Baltimore Orioles for the hottest team in MLB. And speaking of good starts here, the Chicago Cubs. Eric Pauly, I'm seeing you got Big Game Breakdown here on the San Diego Padres and Chicago Cubs. What are you looking to do here?
Yes, I'm taking my Big Game Breakdown to the opening series matchup between the Padres and Cubs at Wrigley Field. And we have a lefty on lefty pitching matchup. And I think the advantage actually resides with the home team, Chicago Cubs. So I'm going to take them on the money line to win outright. Looking at this pitching matchup, like I said, lefty on lefty, a lot of my analysis really does hone in on these pitchers. For starters, Justin Steele going for the Cubs. Incredible start to the season, a .88 whip, a 3.52 FIP, a 2.0 batting average in balls in play, and an 89.1 left on base percentage, meaning if guys are getting on, they're not getting home. But what really impresses me about Steele is how he's being able to limit hard hit balls against him in that exact category. He's in the 90th percentile in exit velocity, 92nd in hard hit ball percentage, and 88th in barrel percentage, meaning when batters are making contact, they're not anything with the baseball. So that's a really telling sign of how good Steele has been. And the Padres, from an offensive standpoint, just a 94 WRC plus against left-handed pitching this season, a 169 ISO, just a 240 batting average. Then you flip it over, you have Blake Snell going for the Padres, again, another lefty, but it seems like Father Time might be catching up to Snell finally. Looking at his just traditional numbers, a 6.04 FIP, a 354 batting average on balls in play, and a 198 whip. Definitely not going to cut it, especially when you look at his percentile rankings, seeing him ranked 21st in exit velocity, 19th hard hit percentage, 11th in barrel percentage, and 13th in expected slugging percentage. That's not really going to cut it against a Cubs lineup that bats 121 WRC plus against left-handed pitching, a 175 ISO, and a 353 WOBA. Looking at the way this line has moved as well, San Diego opened late last night as early as favorites, and that line immediately flipped to the Cubs being slight favorites at home, about minus 115. I like that line movement. I like the outlook for the Cubs today. I like them on the money line.
Like it, Eric. And just quick follow-up here, man. NL Central, of course, the Pirates at the top, followed by Milwaukee and the Chicago Cubs. And then what a lot of people thought would win the Central here with the St. Louis Cardinals. How do you see this going? One, are you a futures better? Do you like kind of taking a shot here? Do you think the Cubs have a chance to win the Central? And how do you think this plays out going forward in the NL Central?
Yeah, so something I had my eye on at the beginning of the season, before the season kicked off, was the Cubs not to win the Central, but to make the postseason. They're about plus 340 prior to this opening day, and I thought there was tremendous amounts of value there, considering how weak the NL Central is. But I'm actually just very surprised about the St. Louis Cardinals. A lot of their struggles have come from their lack of hitting in clutch situations, because they have had guys on base. The lineup is deadly from top to bottom, but man, that pitching staff is so bad. But that's really my concern with some of these NL Central teams. The Cubs, pitching's been doing well so far this season. I don't know how it can hold up. The Brewers, they have a lot of young guys, and they're just dealing with a new injury now, so I'm not sure they're going to hold up. The Cardinals pitching clearly can't hold up. And like Teddy mentioned, the Pirates have dealt with a pretty easy schedule so far. Nevertheless, I'm impressed with what they've done. But again, some of their pitching, these quality starts they've strung together, I don't know how it could hold up. And the Reds are the Reds. So there's certainly some value when looking at a team like the Cubs to win, or even the Cardinals to make a comeback and win these games. Because while their offense is struggling, it's not like they're not getting runners on. They're just not getting those timely hits. But they certainly need to do something about that pitching staff, because that is also abysmal.
Good stuff from Eric Pauly, guys. Check him out, sportsmemo.com. Yeah, you bring up the Redbirds, just 9-14 out the gate. Talking about the Cardinals, we'll hit them here actually in best bets from Adam Trigger. Stay tuned for that. But we got big game breakdown up first. Going to throw it over to you, Trig, man. What are you thinking here with the Oakland A's? We've had some questions on them, and we'll hit them in the You Ask, We Answer segment. But they're catching plus 155 tonight, going up against the Halos. Total of 9. What are you thinking here in Anaheim tonight, Trig?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the A's here. First off, Drew, I'll just go right to, a situation I like to play. Plus 1.5 with the visitor. You get the extra at bat, essentially. The A's being the visitor means the only way that the Angels are going to bat in this game is if they're tied or trailing in the 9th inning. In which case, if I was to tell you, Drew, I'll give you A's plus 1.5, but the Angels are going to bat in the 9th, you'd say, yep, I'll take that all day because my plus 1.5 is probably good. Now, as far as the A's are concerned, the reason this didn't make my client card is that's a little pricey at minus 135. If this was cheaper, minus 110, minus 115, the A's are probably going to make a client play for me here. But the price is what keeps me off. As far as the situation's concerned, I think it's a good spot for them coming off of arguably their, one of their best games last night, maybe if not their best performance. 11 runs, it's a season high, 5 homers. I believe that may be a season high as well for a team that hasn't hit all that much and has a run differential, Drew, of minus 102 through 23 games, which is the worst mark in MLB history. And I think when you look at this A's team, you've got to ask yourself, is this team bad or are they historically bad? Like, are they one of the worst teams in the history of Major League Baseball? And the way things work in today's game, I lean toward them being a bad team that is probably at rock bottom right now. The reason I say that is because youth tends to play in at this level more than it used to. You see a lot of younger guys getting paid, paid sooner, a lot of younger guys getting chances to play earlier. And I mean, just look at Brent Rooker already. 6 homers, he's batting close to 400. I mean, these are there are guys in that organization that will come up at some point and will be almost like a spark. So when I look at the 5-18 start, I say, okay, there are teams that are not historically bad teams that will go 5-18 at some point in the season. The A's have a team ERA of 7.98. It's 2.5 runs more than the next worst team in the league, which is, I believe, the Royals. 102 minus 102 run difference is insane. I just can't see them being historically bad. And then you go to this matchup, and there's reasons, in my opinion, here to be willing to jump in with the A's getting the free run. Mason Miller is going to make his second start of his career. He got called up last week. This will be his second start. The guy throws 102, Drew. He's going to come out and give the A's a look that they haven't seen before. Not to mention, Ohtani's been a little bit cold. Ohtani's got a start coming up on Thursday. I'd be shocked if he doesn't get one of these next 2 days off. I don't know if it'll be today, but Ohtani's got a day off coming up. It's either going to be today or tomorrow, probably ahead of his start because he's been scuffling a little bit lately. And Griffin Canning is someone that the A's have seen the last couple of years. He's okay. Certainly not elite stuff by any means. And there's some familiarity there. So when I add all of that up, if you're going to give me in this matchup a 1.5 head start with the visitor, especially after having a little bit of momentum from playing arguably their best game in the season, I think that's probably good here. I wouldn't be surprised if the A's win again. I'm not that high in the Angels. They're a 500 team at best, in my opinion. Their bullpen is a middling bullpen at best, and Canning is an average starter at best. So you're going to give me the 1.5 head start. I'll take it. And I don't think the A's are as bad as their schedule and some of the numbers suggest. And so I'd be willing to go to battle with them with the run head start here.
Well, buy low on the Oakland A's from Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI on Twitter. And guys, we got a segment we're starting up today, and it's really a salute to the live chat box and the watchers that are replying below in the reply section on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We really appreciate you guys interacting with the show, the VIPs that are here all the time. Sweet James Jones, City by the Bay, Cal, Daniel, all you guys, Raven Ron as well. We really appreciate you chiming in. Let us know what you're betting, where you agree, where you disagree, and any questions you have. Feel free to fire away. So we're going to hit it here. It's actually a great segue with this game that Adam Trigger brings up. We do have a question here from Ryan Burden. He replied below a couple days ago. Can we just play the run line against the A's every night? And it goes to this game, Trig, and it's almost like you're doing the exact opposite of what he's doing. They did win what put up 11 runs last night, man. So it looks like you're actually going to shun that look of just fading the A's, right?
There's only one right answer to that question, in my opinion. If you're talking about right now, no, you can't do that. And being reactive never made anyone any money betting sports. Okay. You had your chance to do that for 23 games. If you've been doing it to this point, I tip my cap. That's great. And I would say, you know what? You want to sort of like ride it out in the short term because you're playing with house money, go for it. But if you're going to jump in now and start laying -1.5 against the A's, I think I don't think that that's the right move. I'm not saying it's not going to hit occasionally, but once you factor in the juice that you'll either be laying or like what the hold will be on that going forward, you are likely not going to make money long term doing that. If you were to start today, because I think the markets will have adjusted so much. They're getting treated. The A's are getting treated like the worst team in the history of baseball right now. So as far as the market's concerned, there's probably only one way to go for them. I just don't think it's I don't think you're going to make money just laying -1.5 against the A's going forward. Up till this point, yes. Going forward, probably not.
Okay. Interesting take there, Adam Trigger. But I mean, at the other side of things, they are negative 50 run differential below the next team here. And you brought it up in your breakdown in terms of, historically bad to this point. Teddy Covers, anything here on Ryan Burden's question of can we just bet the run line against the A's every night and be profitable?
So Adam made a great point that is definitely worth amplifying right here. He's talking about when you want to fade a team, when you want to jump in. He's like, you don't want to jump in after they've just gone 3-7.
Okay.
You want to jump in after the A's have gone 10-10 in their last 20 games or 5-5 in their last 10, because they are a bottom feeder. And there will be stretches this season that Oakland is going to lose 15 plus out of 20 games. I would think on multiple occasions. But where I disagree with Adam, and I respect the hell of him, he finds value in all kinds of places. He finds winners that I don't see. But I learned this the hard way, and I've stuck with it. It's really hard to make money betting baseball bottom feeders. You can make money in the point spread sports on the bottom feeder sometimes. Team competes, they can hang within an inflated number. Football, basketball, teams that are trying hard, the point spread's out of whack. You can cover some numbers there. But in baseball, you have to win the game to get paid. And when you look at the numbers, they're so clear. Doesn't matter, run line or straight up, just going back. I'm just looking at last year's numbers. At the end of the year, who'd you lose money with? The most money. 69 win Miami, 73 win in LA, 74 win Minnesota, 62 win Cincy, 68 win Texas, 55 win Washington. The 6 worst teams all of whom had losing records, most of whom were really bad teams. Can't make money with those squads. And even if Oakland isn't historically bad this year, what are they going to win? 50, 55 games in a best case scenario? I think it's really hard to find ways to be profitable betting on the Oakland A's.
Trig, I want to give you a rebuttal. Let me just follow up with what Teddy just said there, because I remember Dave Koken saying this last year. He brought up a good point in terms of point spread sports and line sports. There is a difference there that, yes, you can kind of find those teams in college basketball, college football, NFL that are trying hard and they can cover point spreads, but in baseball, they got to win the game. Teddy made that point, man. Is that not a factor here?
Well, if you go back to my best bet today, they actually don't have to win the game. They can lose by one run,
Nice.
which
Yeah.
no, I'm just saying, like, there's 20,
Yeah.
it's something like 27% of Major League Baseball games end in one run, in a one run margin. So there's just that. I'm not saying that's a reason that you should do it, but I think my point here, like, listen, I wanted to break down a game because I thought it was a compelling argument. If I really loved the A's today, it'd be it would be a client play, and I probably wouldn't be talking about it here, or it would be on my card. I think the greater point is it's not so much like, I agree with Teddy. Like, you probably don't want to make a habit of just coming back day in and day out with the worst teams and thinking that's going to make you money. But you also don't want to bet the Angels in a spot where they're being perceived as an elite team because they're playing a bad team, because the Angels are probably a 500 team, in my estimation, right around a 500 team at best this year. So I think that it's like, my point here is more like, don't just lay a run and a half with the Angels because you think the A's are bad. If you're going to do it, make sure that you've got a spot where you're laying a run and a half with a team that's got some elite type, so underlying metrics where you should get a blowout, because I guess that's the point I'm trying to make here is, in this spot, I'd be totally willing to go against the Angels here, getting a run and a half, because I do see some redeeming qualities in this matchup for the A's. But if we're talking long term, it's a whole different story. And Teddy makes a lot of really good points.
Trig, good stuff there, man. Teddy covers as well. Thank you for the questions, guys. Got another one here in the live chat by City by the Bay. Thanks for watching live, City by the Bay. And the tip here, question for Teddy and Trig. Also, Eric Pauly, why should I not wait for lineups? ? A star player like Arenado not playing makes all the difference. For example, City by the Bay, it's a great question, man. And Eric, I'll let you answer this one or the question before if you have something. But I would just kind of preface it by, there's a lot of bettors out there doing that. So by the time the lineups come out, you will see a move, 5 cents, 10 cents sometimes. So that is some of the value coming out of it. And to Trig's point, what he said before with Ohtani getting a rest day coming up, things of that nature. Also bullpens, it's already like you can do that work beforehand if the bullpen arms have thrown. I like to actually front run it, like kind of go ahead and almost play, coach of who is going to be playing, who isn't going to be playing based off of the handedness of the pitcher, things of that nature, and try to get out in front of the market move. That's one thing I would say to this question. Eric, do you have anything on this question, last question, or anything you want to throw out there before we get to best bets?
Yeah, so I think the point you just made was actually a great point. When it comes to projecting lineups, you can do that, right? Obviously, you might not always be on point, but a lot of professional bettors that I'm sure I know I work with, I'm sure you guys also work with as well. Part of what they do is they bet early if they're originating the number. They're trying to get that initial drop posted number and get some limit bets down to help mold that number so they can, move on to the next game and they're done with their position on that game. They bet it before the new day has even started, before the sun has even risen. So I think that there really only are a handful of players that are affecting a point spread more than a couple of cents on the number right there. So I think a lot of what Drew said makes a ton of sense. You can always do your pre-game homework on who has thrown a lot of pitches in the bullpen, who has a good WRC plus against which side of the pitcher's throwing on, who is, maybe played a huge stretch. Is this team on a 17-game road trip where they have one day off? Like, is this person going to have one single day of rest? So there are things you can prepare for that potential scenario. But I think just from one, you can project lineups because you know who managers are keying in on, again, based on the bullpen, based on the starter, based on the rest. And two, there aren't that many guys that are moving the number that much for missing a game. So not saying that always betting early is 100% the best thing to do. Sometimes you just need to wait for the steam to settle, get some info, and go from there. But I would not be overly concerned about, say, missing 10 bets over the course of the 500 plus you probably make over a baseball season because some guy was ruled out one time before then. I don't think there's enough players that impacted that greatly.
Good stuff, Eric Pauly. Guys, check them out, sportsmemo.com. Guys, good. You ask, we answer. We appreciate you throwing out some questions here. And if you're watching on replay, feel free to reply below, guys. Smash that like button if you're liking the content. We are going live right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel, Monday through Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern time. So feel free to join us in the live chat. Feel free to reply below, and we will answer your questions throughout the rest of this week, really, throughout the rest of the summer. So fire away here, guys, and let us know what you're betting, as well as we got best bets coming to you right now. Teddy covers. Check them out. WagerTalk.com. Been doing this successfully for many years, decades, I would guess, Teddy. One of the better sport minds out there, guys, and he's hot right now. 67% all sports run the last 6 days. He's making money in the MLB. 83% run the last week. Teddy, final thoughts for the show, and where are you heading for best bets?
So my best bets, I've done a handful of first pitches. My best bets have not been good. So let's see if we can get a good one for today. As my baseball, as you mentioned, Drew, has been heating up over the past week. It's been a real good week this past week. Let's see if we can do it again for another week. And I'm going to go to Baltimore for my best bet. Look, we talk about riding trends that are meaningful. The Red Sox are the number one over team in baseball right now, and I expect that to continue. This is a potent lineup. This is a not so potent bullpen. Corey Kluber is not a hurler that I'm afraid to bet against. And even with Baltimore's surprisingly effective bullpen, Bradish isn't a guy that I trust, especially against this lineup. He's had a rough time against Boston. Over 8.5 is one that makes a whole lot of sense to this bettor. It's in my pocket, and I advise my clients to make that same wager.
Teddy covers at Teddy_covers. WagerTalkSportsMemo.com. We're going to head to Adam Trigger up next. Follow him on Twitter at TopFlightSI. Guys, he's got a 5% play up for tonight. And hey, this baseball season, he is 30-21, 59%, plus 22% bankroll gain here. So Trig, off to a good start on the diamond, man. You got a 5% play up for tonight. What do you got for final thoughts and best bet for the show?
Yeah, Drew, baseball's going well so far. 5% play tonight. Went 2-0 in Major League Baseball yesterday. Hit the Korean baseball play this morning. So hopefully we keep rolling and hit the 5%er. I thought I was going to have a second client play, but nothing quite got there. I am going to talk about one that I strongly considered. And had we got the original pitching matchup here, this probably would have made my card. But I still think that there's some value here, or at least it's a good way to look at this game. So I'll go to Cardinals Giants. I'm looking toward the over. So initially it looked like Sean Manaea was going to start this game for the Giants. The Cardinals absolutely obliterate left-handed pitching. So that would have been a really nice matchup for them there. And because of that, I think is part of the reason that the Giants kind of decided to push Manaea off a little bit. And they're going to go bullpen game here instead of having Manaea pitch this game. Now, I don't. It's a little bit less appealing having to sort of bet against the uncertainty of a bullpen game, but it's probably going to. Well, it's going to be Brevia to start for the Giants, and it's most likely going to be Jacob Junis after him. And I still think the Cardinals, a lineup that I really like, that probably rates out higher than their run production so far this year, rating out in terms of like WRC plus and some of the other underlying metrics have been better than the runs they've actually scored. They're a lineup that I'm willing to play on just in general right now. And the Giants kind of fit that mold for me as well. They got Austin Slater and Mitch Haniger back last night. Two guys that they've kind of been waiting all season for them to get in there. That's a nice boost. And they hit the ball considerably well over the weekend, the final two games against the Mets. I had them for a best bet on Saturday. They went up 4-0 early, never looked back. On Sunday, they won 5-4, and I felt like they probably could have scored more than they did. So, Giants were a team, Drew, that, they were almost the same, very similar record to the A's. 6-17, I believe they were through their first 23 games. And now we're seeing them sort of get off the mat a little bit, generate some offense, win a couple games. And they're just playing good enough right now where I think that they could knock the ball around the yard a little bit here against Jake Woodford, who just isn't it, Drew. He's not a guy that probably belongs in this Cardinals rotation. I said that toward the beginning of the year when I was doing all of my pro Cardinals, talking about how much I love this team. I said the one thing that gives me a little bit concerned with the Cardinals as the starting pitching. And man, some of the back part of this rotation has not been good. Woodford is one of the reasons why 6 homers he's given up on 27 hits in 19.1 innings pitched. I think he probably gives something up here. And, I think the Cardinals, maybe they don't get their ideal matchup against the lefty, but at some point over the course of facing the Giants bullpen today, they're probably going to score some runs. This lineup just is too good not to, in my opinion. So you talk about a game. If you can still find an 8.5 out there, that's a really good bet. This has been bet up to 9 most places, but 9's okay still. Like, 4-4 game still put you at, at minimum a push if you get to 4-4, if you've got a total of 9. So I think that that's probably the best total out there today. In Major League Baseball, I like the over Cardinals Giants. I think we get to 9 at least here, and I would not be surprised if this is a high scoring game.
Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI on Twitter. 5% play up at WagerTalk.com tonight. It is $2 Tuesday. Check out 5% play from Jimmy Adams for just $2. So check that out, WagerTalk.com. Again, Trig with a 5% play up. We got the NHL show, NBA show coming to you right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We also saw Sean there with a question. What do you watch for line movements? Actually, if you go to wagertalk.com, it's the best free live odds in the industry. You just click on the live odds tab. You can see MLB, all the sports going on right now. That's where you can see the line changes there, Sean. But thanks for the question. Tough follow there with Trig. But I'm going to head to PNC Park here, guys, and jump on the red hot Pirates. Winners of 7 straight. 45-15 run differential while winning these 7 games. So they've been blowing people out. They also, for whatever reason, they got the Dodgers number. They went 5-1 against the Dodgers last season. And good pitcher on the hill, last 19 innings, just 2 earned runs. So hot pitcher. That includes a start in Colorado. And up against Syndergaard, the Dodgers are 0-4 in Syndergaard's 4 starts this season. So we get the hotter lineup right now as well. Both teams off of a bye. So it should be bullpen, all arms ready to go for the Pirates, who hopefully, as the home dog here, guys, plus 106, risk 100 to win 106. Love these home dogs. Pirates are my best bet for the show. Throw it over to Eric Pauly. Guys, you can check him out, sportsmemo.com. Eric, what do you got for final thoughts for the show and any best bet here?
Yeah, final thoughts for the show is over at the Gold Sheet, goldsheet.com. Every single day we release an MLB stat sheet where most of my information comes from. I'm sure some of these other panelists use it as well. Basically, every single day we break down 4 to 5 MLB games and discuss everything about the starting pitchers, some matchup history between the pitchers and the hitters, home and away splits, lefty-righty splits, bullpen usage, and all that stuff. $15, $2 a day for the entire week. So definitely recommend taking a look at that. And what I'm looking at today for a best bet is a strikeout prop. Going with what Teddy Cover said here, I am fading old Corey Kluber tonight against the Baltimore Orioles. Of course, Kluber had a great heyday, but it seems like his prominence in the MLB is coming to an end. And just looking at his last start, I mean, the Red Sox let him out to dry against the Twins. He pitched 103 pitches and allowed 7 runs. They let him keep going. And he still did not go over his strikeout total of 4.5. He only had 4 strikeouts in that matchup. The strikeout line for today is, of course, 4.5. I'm going under there. It's only gone over this number 1 time against the Rays, but looking at this matchup today against the Orioles, he faced the Orioles on opening day in Baltimore. This roster, since from Kluber's time in Tampa Bay, they're very familiar with Kluber. They faced him 192 plate appearances, and they had just a 20.8% K rate against Kluber. Even if he's going 100-plus pitches today, I don't like him going over this number against the Baltimore Orioles team that's already seen him 1 time and has the offensive firepower to put up a 4, 5, 6 spot before the end of the 3rd or 4th inning. So I'm fading Corey Kluber. I don't expect him to get those strikeouts going, even though he does have a pretty decent whiff and chase percentage. Orioles are a very disciplined team in the batter's box. Corey Kluber, under 4.5 Ks.
Player prop from Eric Pauly, right as Xavier asked if we're doing any player props. Way to hit that. Eric, check him out, sportsmemo.com. Good morning to you, Nathan Cantor in Hawaii. Thanks for joining us live on the live chat box as we recap the best bets here. Pirates, plus 105. Teddy Covers, Boston, Baltimore, over 8.5, minus 120. Adam Trigger, St. Louis, San Francisco over 9. And Eric Pauly, just heard it there. Corey Kluber under 4.5 strikeouts, minus 134. Check out Adam Trigger and Teddy Covers at WagerTalk.com. Eric Pauly at SportsMemo.com. I am Drew Martin. Again, huge shout out to everybody in the chat box replying below. And please smash that like button, guys. That does it for the show. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, cash those tickets. Thanks for tuning in.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.